So at 8:23 a.m. this morning, I'm driving up from my $9 pour over coffee. That is with tip. It's very expensive, but I think it's at least for me, it's one of my nectars in life, which is a different conversation. It's filed under self care, and I really believe in the little things because I think the little things are big, like thread count and water pressure, and underwear that makes you feel sexy, and also in this case, pour over coffee. Anyway, I'm coming up the hill, and it's just a straight shot to my house. So I'm looking up and seeing the mountains, and there's this like cloud, low cloud over the mountains, and it looked like Hawaii. It looked like a portrait. It looked like Japan. I've never been to Japan, but from the photos I've seen, and I was thinking to myself, and it just like I was taken aback by the landscape. And this is just another day of getting coffee and driving home, right? But I noticed this majestic view, and I took a second, and I was like, man, that's beautiful. And here's the revelation, and this is my point, because I then thought, would I have even noticed this in my 20s, or even my early 30s? And no, I would not have. I would have been driving up the hill from the coffee shop, mad that I paid $9 for my coffee, stressed out about what I needed to get done and how far I need to swim and all of that shit. Would have been in my head, and I would have missed this amazing view of mountains and clouds. And I thought to myself, well, this is proof that at least I've come some way, right? At least I am different. At least my lenses are different. And the point of this story is, I think the best way into mindfulness, and this is something that I've been practicing more and more, and I know that it could be a bumper sticker, and I know everyone talks about mindfulness and being present, and yeah. But how do you do it, right? And I'm always all about simplifying. I think I think the potency is in simplification, and I think the more simple, whether we're talking about dense concepts or practical ways to execute goals in your life, when they are simple, they stick. People actually do them. If they're not simple and they're complicated, yeah, things can sound really good, but we rarely actually do them. They're just great ideas. And this is why I think in self betterment, a lot of times we watch videos and we really get sucked into a lot of tap dancing, a lot of fancy footwork when it comes to self betterment, and it sounds exciting. But then we're done watching the video or listening to the podcast or whatever content, and we're like, okay, well, what do we do with this, right? And then nothing changes, right? We just basically took in some exciting piece of content, but nothing applicable. So, applicable. I have a master's degree, and I can't even say words. You know what's happening is as I get older, my vocabulary is just going to shit. I'm stuttering. I just tell people English is my second language because it gives me a way out. Of course, it isn't because I came to this country when I was 3. But man, I don't know what's going on. Anyway, so I want to underline the word notice because I think noticing is the way into mindfulness. And this is really simple because if you just make an intention every day to notice, right? Turn that dial from wherever it's at and move it back into notice. You're going to judge less. You're going to be more curious. Notice, although a simple word, is so powerful and it's underestimated, the power of noticing. Think about this. As you go about your day, you're noticing. You're noticing the feeling as you downshift to second gear, hugging a turn in your fill in the blank, your car. From you, I guess it would be a vintage Porsche. You're noticing the taste of the rich beans of coffee that was just freshly grounded, and water was poured over it, and it took 9 minutes to make. You're noticing the softness of dough when you bite into your pizza. You're noticing your partner's lips and energy and possibly tongue when you kiss him or her. You're noticing a stranger's smile as you open the door in passing. You're noticing what's coming up for you in your body when you have certain thoughts or you're thinking about certain people. You're noticing the wind in your face, assuming your face mask is up. When you're riding your motorcycle, you're noticing the sun on your back when you're at the beach and your toes are in the sand. You're noticing your heartbeat when you run. You're noticing views. You're noticing, all of these things. And as you notice, like consciously make an effort to notice, not just think about noticing, but really dropping into your body, using your senses, right? Your smell, your touch, your feeling, your what you see, and you're just noticing. So by doing that, you are getting very present, right? By actually the action of noticing neutralizes, and suddenly there's less judgment and there's more of you living in color. As I'm talking right now, I'm noticing bird sounds in the distance. I work out of my garage. My garage is up, so I'm looking at palm trees, and in the distance I notice a guy mowing his lawn. I also notice me getting anxiety because I'm scared the noises from the outside are going to make this podcast episode. Oh, there it goes. I'm noticing him getting louder, and then now I'm nervous that it's going to ruin my episode, right? And then even noticing that, to let that pass, right? Or else that anxiety is going to make things worse. And so just to notice, notice what. So it's also notice doesn't mean to deny anything. It means to accept truth. So you're noticing all the things that are happening. You're noticing what's happening inside you, and you're just watching them come and go like waves, whether they are thoughts, feelings, and this is how life becomes. This is how you rack focus life. This is when you start to notice trees and shit. I remember, my 20s and most of my 30s. By the way, I also noticed me saying a lot, and I keep telling myself, stop saying It's such a hard habit to break. I remember my 20s and 30s. If someone said, "Hey, John, do you notice trees?" I would think they were insane, right? I would think they were crazy. But then there was a point in my life after my divorce and just getting really sitting with things and noticing things, spending a lot of time with myself on motorcycle rides and taking myself out to eat, earbuds in my headphones in my ears to learn and to just always take in information. I started noticing shit, and one of the things that I started noticing was trees. I started noticing trees, and I know it sounds ridiculous, but it was a sign to me that I finally practiced sitting still and taking things in and not living so much in my head. And I think years of that practice, because I think it takes time. It's not just over the weekend, but when you actually turn this into a lifestyle, that's when you are driving home and you just by default, not even with intention, you default notice things like the hills with clouds, and it reminds you of Hawaii or Japan. And having that revelation this morning made me realize that if you practice the art of noticing long enough, it's a giant doorway into mindfulness. And when you are mindful and you start to live that way, and you treat it as a practice, now you are potent. Life is in color. There is less judgment. You're pulling from curiosity. You are expanding, not constricting, right? Now, imagine this. In this state, imagine how your relationships are going to be. Imagine how your friendships, I mean, because everything ripples. And so if you're able to be in this state, what kind of partner are you going to be? Well, chances are less judgmental. You're going to notice amazing things about your partner. You're going to notice things that you probably hadn't before. Or if you have noticed them before, maybe this time you'll say something, whether it is your partner's beautiful eyes or the way that he makes you feel when you feel nothing. Noticing things goes a long way in relationships. And if you can turn your dial and keep it at noticing, you can then allow the relationship to renew, to reboot. And if you're noticing things that you haven't before, if you're able to see the beauty in the contrast, if you're able to swim past your own activation and see the spirit of who or she really is, and then if your partner is also doing the same, imagine what kind of space is created. Anyway, just a reminder today to turn your dial to notice. And as you're going through the day or this week, just notice shit. Notice, notice, notice. And know that as you are noticing, that in itself is a really powerful way to be mindful and to live present. And that more that you're able to do this, the more you're going to rewire yourself, and the less you are going to live in your head, your distorted thinking, and you'll be more present and ultimately happier.